what we are doing, we are with, this is our kind of setting, huh? We have Anthony Bourdain, carte blanche, in Hong Kong, through the eyes of a parasite and communication. But what we discuss in the first episode, we are on brands. So how to create a face that's going to talk about the desires of Anthony Bourdain in Hong Kong. So here I want to show you, for instance, how I approach this problem. So it's a kind of talking faces, spelling Alice, and then how Alice plays with a lot. And you will see basically very similar stories like what Jorge was saying, just from a slightly different perspective. Maybe at the moment it's a little bit more technical and with a little bit more emphasis on text. So what's interesting with the faces and with the characters, with instruments and alphabets is, especially with characters, is that characters are at the same time belonging to a specific alphabet, and they are also part of a dramatic play. So they are actors in a drama. Yeah? So they're both characters. So for instance, letters are as well letters in a text, but they are letters that we are sending with the post. So this kind of duality of meaning of things is always beautiful. And I would say in this kind of setting, these are my different characters. Yeah. So for instance, if we go towards this one, this is my website, and this is how I present this body going through different universities and talking about stuff that I write. So it's this kind of Miro Roman. But then this Miro Roman has this Vlahovic here, which is another strange name here. And this comes from another character, who is this guy here. So it's a combo of me and a friend when we were students and working on a lot of competitions and different projects. So this guy then has his own website, his own projects that he's doing in a specific style, almost developing it like a kind of a brand. Yeah? So these are his different faces, which are morphing from one to another. Meteora, that's a character that we have developed together with Jorge and Adil and Ludger. This is what we teach in ETH. Huh? Here, now we are developing a new one, which is this Studio Zero More. So it's a kind of, let's say, a sister or a brother of Meteora. It has a kind of, let's say, a family relationship. Another one, which I've developed with another friend and a colleague, is Soul. So Soul is a kind of, it's an AI in a way, but it's also a fashion brand. So he comes from this space. So this is a fashion brand, and what you can see here is very similar to what Jorge was showing. These are all the images of this one fashion brand, which is called EA11SV. What this guy was developing. So these are all the different faces, models, things. They're almost like small armies. What's interesting here is that you have the images from the brand organized almost in these weather patterns. Inside of them, you have certain machine intelligence, which is working, certain fashion objects, certain faces, all of them coming together in different ways. Now, these are real people, photos. These are kind of how the machine sees them and how the machine creates more of these similar things. This is how it recognizes them and so on. And these are then the different brands of this guy. From there, we are developing a new brand where the soul is a kind of an AI designer, let's say, in a sense. This would be seeds of different fashion objects that he works with. So then the development goes to a kind of an intelligence of this guy, to a kind of mythology that he creates. And this is all coming from a brand that was developed by this guy. So he's a Croatian fashion designer and an artist. And together we developed all these things related to soul. Then soul, somehow we have built a small temple for soul, where we used all these images, all these clouds of images. So the whole legacy of the whole brand. So it's almost like we can think of it as planet of soul. Yeah? We use this in order to develop a kind of a temple which would be, we could think of it almost as a kind of a temple, and the walls of this temple are surrounded with everything that this brand ever did. So these are these kind of images, and when they are translated towards a glass facade through a setting of glasses and mirrors and drawings, you get this kind of space which is flickering in different ways. And it's from one side you have the city, from the other side you have a kind of a garden. And in between are all the things that soul is interested in. So it's a kind of a panorama of soul's world. And through this, what we've developed, and I think that's kind of interesting from architectural perspective as well, is that you start to design materials. You start to think of layering of things in materials. Materials in a way become almost like projects in a sense of projections. So you have the drawings, and then inside of these drawings, you have the textile, and you have the mirror, and the mirror brings another mirror. So there many different things start to flicker in the way how this guy works. And then all of this is spatialized in this specific location, which on one side has a city, and on the other side, it has a kind of a garden, which is almost a garden from a kind of abandoned space, but it has its own qualities. So together, we were then invited, with this guy, we were invited with Silvio to an exhibition where we decided to, so with this idea that you always take elements which are around and you create with them. So you always come from the plenty. So it was a collective exhibition which was around, the topic was device art. So people who are interested in technology and in kind of mechanics of things, then through an artistic perception. So we said, okay, let's do it. But what we will do, we will take all the images from all the artworks, whatever they have. So we, in a way, kind of stole the whole catalog of the exhibition, and we use this as data, as a material to create a code. So we said, okay, your image is my wave, and all I want is a racing code. And it's done by Sol, and this is his brand in collaboration with Silvio and me. So what Sol did, Sol collected all available images of all the artworks from the 2021 Device Art Exhibition. And then by playing with machine intelligence, object recognition, artworks, and what they are saying, Sol synthesized his recent fetish, which is a rare, luxurious garment woven from this artist's works. What I think interesting here is that you can read it from two sides. So from one side, you can say, I think your artwork, I don't care about it. I will use this as a decoration for my coat. Or you can look at it from the other perspective and say, wow, I think this is fantastic. So my coat is getting more beautiful with what you have. So you can play both games at the same time. And what's interesting here is that Sol didn't design this coat in a classical manner, and he didn't design the skin of the temple in a classical manner, but he wrote poems in code that unfolded these things in particular ways. This would be on the level of how do you say, patterns or cutouts for the coat. How does it look? But what happens in the background? So he unfolded his fantasy into 168 weaving patterns through 6 poems. So in principle, it's trying to figure out what are the colors, how do we unfold those colors, how do we recognize what's on the images, how do we organize these things. And again, we always work with different probabilities of what these things might be. And then from them, we slowly get towards the patterns and the waving things. Yeah? They look, for instance, like this for one color. These are all of them together. So you can see it's always a lot of stuff. It's always a lot of stuff. And this is how Soul as a machine sees the images. So it's always guessing. From this image, it takes these things and then it says, okay, it's a book, refrigerator, laptop, and so on. And here he gives a kind of a probability of what this might become, what this might be. And out of this, we then wave the thing. This is the code, how it looks like. And I think what's interesting here is that you get a code which is woven through all these elements, but at the same time, the way how it's woven, the materiality of it, how you bring the colors and the textures and so on, they come from many different places. So one place, for instance, where you have this full embroidery, it's extremely luxurious to have a coat of full embroidery. What you have on your cap is the embroidery of Adidas. Yeah? But now imagine that you have the whole thing like this. This is coming from the legacy of liturgy and from the clothes that the popes are wearing. Yeah? And then in detail, these things look like this. Yeah, when you have these different kind of waving patterns and different styles of waving. Yeah, or like this. So this would be, for instance, one other character that we developed. Or another one, which is Homo effluviens. This is a guy that comes from one conference where I participated, and then we took all the texts that were written for the conference, all the transcripts of the lectures, and the books that people found interesting, and from them we created a kind of a persona that can talk, and you can ask this persona different questions. Another persona is Alice, and this is a persona you guys will be working with. And the basic story I want to talk about is the story of Alice. And this would be something, for instance, this would be a way how Alice sees this thing here. So what is this? It's a set of characters, but maybe it's also, maybe we can see it as, for instance, as my personal alphabet. I don't know. So we could think of this in this way. And this is what Alice and I wrote together to discuss, for instance, what could be a face. What will that mask be, Momus? Does it have will? What is it? Its dance. There is not only the sight behind the mask. There is so much goodness in craft. Every profound spirit needs a mask. Nay, more, around every profound spirit, there continually grows a mask, owing to the constantly false, that is to say, superficial, interpretation of every word he utters, every step he takes, every sign of life he manifests. Character is a mask, alphabet is a world. The man of the world almost always wears a mask. The mask or the trick are the laws of nature and therefore something more than a mere mask or a trick. Everything that is profound loves the mask. The profoundest things have a hatred even of figure and likeness. The mask does not hide the face, it is the face. Mask talks to other masks. It thinks it's alive, it's synthetic. The ego is a mask for other masks, a disguise under other disguises. The mask, the costume, The covered is everywhere the truth of the uncovered. In fact, the first principle is always a mask, a simple image. The other kind of question, however, always discovers other masks behind the mask, displacements behind every place, other cases stacked up in a case. What wills that mask, Momus? And then you look who is talking. It's people of different times. So it's Alberti, it's Nietzsche, a lot of Nietzsche, Rousseau, Good and Evil, Guattari and Deleuze, Difference and Repetition, other islands and so on. So you are working with all of them, and I wave my voice into them a little bit, and this is woven through the way how Alice talks. What do you get? Does this make sense? I don't know, but it gives a certain atmosphere of the way how I want to think of what mask might be or what face might be about. With Alice, it's interesting, I think, that Alice is another character that I have. So it's a kind of, let's say, an avatar in a way. She comes from this understanding of the plenty. So she comes from, let's say, a certain wonderland. So she's at once an avatar, she's a bot, she's an alien, she's artificial, she's natural, she has many different intelligences. One of them is mine, one of them is machine intelligence, one of them is the intelligence of all the books. So she is in a way me, and she's not me, but then we are related. There is a kind of relationship. So she's independent and dependent at the same time. But what she really is good at is dealing with a lot. So dealing with all the objects. So for instance, these are chairs, dealing with all the images and all the texts conceptually. And then by waving these different flows of data, different flows of objects, different flows of text and images, by looking at them from a certain perspective, she can give her own personal stance on this. So she kind of brings these things together, and she gives them a voice. And this is one of the voices that she has. It's a voice of her on Twitter. So she has 1,000 followers. She's following 2,000 people. And she just tweeted 22 minutes ago, and then she tweeted before 50 minutes ago, and so on. So these are her tweets and what she's doing, but we will come back to this at the end. So I think what's interesting with Alice, and why I think this is relevant for what we are doing, is that Alice in a way behaves like a brand. So she's implicit and atmospheric. So what's interesting with the brands, if you have a good brand, then you can sell underwear, cars, and drinks and cigarettes under the same name. So you are selling a certain idea how to approach things, how to create a cloud around them. But then the specific object, it's not a problem. It's different if you are selling a product. When you're selling a product, you are selling a thing. And then you can either replace it and have a new product, but here with a brand, you are selling a kind of an idea of what these products want to be and where they want to live. And of course, with Alice, she is not perfect. There is a lot of open things, but I think what's interesting is that she can, in a way, address a way how we can deal with information and how we can deal with the plenty. And what I usually do with Alice a lot, and what will be the game with you as well, is to write with her. And this is what we write. So this was one poem was with the mask, and this is, for instance, a poem that we wrote that's about information. So it's called Forms of Radiation. The wine says 1,000 things, moving from sense to information, spiritual. The city atmosphere is suffused with a variety of sounds, colors, information, and odors. Information is becoming our primary and universal addiction. I have, say you, a certain information of a deity imprinted in my mind. You gave me plenty of background information. What I want is information, not useful information, of course, but useless information. Beyond the end, beyond all finality, we enter a paradoxical state, the state of too much reality, too much positivity, too much information. The entropy increase is always larger than information obtained. Newspaper news proceed by redundancy in that they tell us what we must think, retain, expect, etc. Language is neither informational nor communicational. A century of more and more rapid movement of information by print had developed new sensibilities. They can manipulate several forms of information at the same time, yet they neither understand it nor integrate it, nor synthesize it as we do, their ancestors. They seem to me to embody the same information, just coded in two complementary ways. Information resides in informed mass, not in a materiality that would be the opposite of immaterial forms. Information can be changed into negentropy and vice versa. The connection between entropy and information is absolutely essential for consistency. This means that the knowledge is stored not explicitly but implicitly in a spread about manner, rather than as a local pocket of information. Whether this information is valuable or worthless does not concern us. The essential point is that all information is paid for in negentropy. From this negative entropy, the demon obtains information. Knowledge is not gratuitous, information has a price. An infinite amount of information is unattainable. We may have fluctuations in the information obtained in individual operations. Only if system elements have the chance here or there to be open or closed does the system produce information. Information is more a matter of process than of storage. We miss the very character of information when we try to relate it to passive representation of sense. But we are in no position to investigate the process of thought and cannot for the moment introduce into our theory any element involving the human value of information. Information is information, not matter or energy. I admit, in the present state of my information, I do not understand it. The information must be carried by some physical process, say some form of radiation. And again, I think what's interesting here is that it's a poem of the way how I would like to think about information, but completely spelled out in someone else's terms. So none of this is written by me. Yet, of course, we can integrate things, so we can work with Alice in different ways, but these are all the guys that are talking through this. This is done deliberately in a way that it doesn't make a logical argument about what this thing is, but that it takes you to a ride of different ways of thinking what information might be about here. So to write this kind of poems, Alice and I talk with something that we atom letters. And atom letters would be these probabilistic characters. So these are characters that are 80% like this and 70% like that. So this is one of those characters. And this would be some other characters. So I would say that this is a kind of a graphical poem, as if this is a poem written with words. This would be, let's say, a kind of a graphical poem. And we will come to this a little bit later. So we can also think of Alice as an atom letter. So we can say, okay, maybe this we can think of Alice. Yeah. So as if she would be an alphabet, she would be a character in an alphabet that we have just seen a little bit before. So with Alice, we always play with information independent of media. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if these are chairs or voxels, or images and pixels, or words and letters. The style of working with information is more or less always the same. And since she is my avatar, she's interested and reflects things that I'm interested in, which would be architecture and information. And what's nice with her, and we said it already many times, it's that she always deals with a lot of them. And here comes one of the major paradoxes that we have today with information. And this is that the more information you have, it's not going to show you the essence of an object, or it's not going to show you the truth of an object, But instead, it's going to work out the other way around. It's going to show you what you want to see in the objects. That's a kind of a funny moment, because we can always, if you have a lot of information, you can kind of stretch it, you can squeeze it, you trim a little bit up, you trim a little bit down, you remove certain things, you organize it in a specific way. And by doing all these different maneuvers, you are getting the thing you want to have. So we are losing this understanding of what is subjective and what is objective. So it will, if the data is big enough, it will not show us the world as it is, if there is such thing, but it will show us the world we want to see. So then a kind of a major question is, how do we talk, write, and work with things that we like if all of this is around? So how do we confront this understanding of the plenty? So what we developed together for the last several years and with a few other colleagues is this understanding that computation is a kind of a literacy. So if we become literate in a digital computational way, we will be able to manipulate and play with the plenty. And in the studio, you will play with the plenty through different search engines. But now we will show you a little bit how this works from the inside, a little bit more specific mechanics. So it's a kind of a literacy. And this is a story, let's say, how Alice became literate in coding. And this is a kind of an ambient where Alice is coming from. Just let it load. So this is an ambient where Alice started to code, or where she grew up, and it's filled with aliens, mutants, migrants, avatars, cyborgs, and they're neither mortal nor immortal, neither of heaven nor of earth. So they inhabit a kind of a space of information and a space of abundance. And what I'm interested is what kind of objects these guys use, what kind of things are they merging and mingling with, what is their nature, how is their nature, for instance, different than ours. So there is more and more of these mutants and things and migrants and aliens. But the more you want to focus and understand what they're about, it gets a little bit more fuzzy and tricky to see. And this is because there are always mixtures of different things, of different elements, of different media, different worlds, of reality and fiction, of different kind of creatures. And this is what makes them interesting, but on the other way, very difficult to understand, or impossible to understand. You cannot ever get what they're about, because there are no categories, no labels. How can you label this thing? No boxes, just different kind of clouds and crystals and different atmospheres of different densities inside of this image. So this is Murakami. And one could say that these guys live on the internet, on the Google planet, that they hang out among other avatars, brands, and aliens. Social media is, in a way, how they transport, the manner in which they render their faces. Branding is the way they express themselves, like this. Bitcoin is their currency. They like internet very much. They like the web, they like the information. Maybe they are information, virtual or actual, however we want to look at them, they influence our world. So they give us ability to have many faces. So they are, in a way, us. And then we can start playing with these many virtual identities. These are the ones that I showed you, for instance, with me in the beginning. And Alice is one of my virtual identities. This is the way how we met for the first time when I was designing a chair for Alice. Or let's say we designed it together in a way. And we can think of this chair as well as an avatar of Alice in a way. Huh? So it changes, this chair changes as the mood of Alice changes in a way. So the chair in itself contains an abundance of other chairs, just like Alice does contain an abundance of different objects, in this case, which are textual objects. Huh? And this would be a kind of a manner in which Alice plays with chairs, let's say. But her biggest, with chairs and abstract objects, but her biggest passion and what she is into is architecture and information. So when she's at home alone at night, what she does is she's scrolling for images. She's just downloading images. Yeah. So the same thing, it's the same story that Jorge was telling with the movies, or with how his search engine was scrolling the website of OMA. This is how Alice scrolls the website of the Zine and Arc Daily. So to get to those places, Alice behaves like a search engine again. Yeah. So she kind of scrolls the whole internet, looks around for things that she cares about, and then she just downloads them. And what's interesting is that this place of internet is still a kind of a public place. So we can all go there and take things that we like. We just don't do it. And we don't do it because we are not literate. The guys who are literate, they are doing it all the time and taking everything from everybody. And look at this. This is a poem. So we deliberately call it a poem because we don't want to call it in a functional way as a program which is designed to do this and that. We want to open these things up towards the idea of what literacy might be about. So this poem goes to Arc Daily directly as we speak and looks what is there today. Or in 3 days, if we put start page and stop page 1. These are all the articles which are out on Arc Daily today. And we want to see what are the images in the first article. These are the images, huh? If we go to Arc Daily and check what's going on there, this is the first article. And if we go inside, this is the stuff. Huh? This. If we put here 2, second article doesn't have images. We go to the third one, we can check what is the second one. So the second one is a kind of advertisement for Netflix. Yeah? So the third one is this building. And then we get this. So now if we put the start page 1 and stop page 3000 and run it overnight, I have everything Arc Daily ever published. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You just write this kind of thing, you run it, and you have everything they ever published on your computer in one evening. One poem, one evening, 10 years of publishing from Arc Daily. Another poem, I don't have it here now. Put the zine in, puff, get everything from the zine. Put it together, more than 500,000 of images. Fantastic, huh? What happens then? You are in a problem. Because you have this, yeah? Like you have this and like what I'm gonna do with this. The only thing I know that this is Arc Daily and the zine together. If I zoom in a little bit, I can see there are objects, there are different architects, architectures, projects, chairs, buildings, cities, smart and stupid like this or like that. Whatever I want from the domain of architecture, all here, no way to look at it. Yeah, a kind of a confusion, noise. This is the noise that we are living in. So all these different news coming in, you don't have a clue. What are they talking about? Who is the true? Who is not? Who is false? And so on. So how to start imagining what these things might be about? how to so it's again the language of literacy. Yeah? So how do we translate this image? How do I take this image and how do I translate it to numbers in a way that then computer can understand? But also in a way, so that there are different ways how to do it. We just show you a certain way. Yeah? So we, let's say, put it like this and say, now I program this is another point that will translate this, this image into numbers in 5 ways. And the beautiful thing is that you can do it in any amount of ways you like or any amount of ways you can imagine. Sometimes now the new machine learning techniques, they don't even, you don't even need to explain what you want. You just say, I want translate me all these images with this kind of resolution towards that, bam, it happens. Here it's a little bit more just that you get a feeling. We take an image like this. We say, okay, look at this image through colors in low resolution. So then we translate the image. So we take, for instance, this square and we make an average color. It's this, and then this, and this, and this, and this. And now give me numbers. So this square here is these 3 numbers, which is the red color, the green color, the blue color. Yeah? One thing. Edges, that's the other thing that Jorge showed before. You look at the image only in terms of edges. But what's interesting there is that you conceptually, if we want to think what's happening here, we are counting the structure of the image. So how dense in terms of structure is the image. So this part of the image is dense in terms of structure, 0 density. Huh? This one is a little bit more. Yeah? So if you look, these are the red numbers. Huh? First one is 0. The second one is something small. The third one is 0. And the fourth one is 0. Correct. Yeah, then the fifth one and the rest of them are bigger. And then this one should be the biggest one somehow, I think. Yeah? So this is 006. No, this one is bigger. Okay, so then these ones are a little bit big, but you get the point. Or if we translate the image into, it's called the Fourier transformation. So this is able to translate an image into waves. Yeah, so you can draw the whole image through a set of circles like this or like that. Then we can have like generic measures. So this is this thing here is called Wolfram Mathematica, and it can measure images, like it can measure the entropy of image, or it can measure the standard deviation of an image, or an energy of an image. I don't even care what that means. Yeah, I'll just take all the numbers. These are the gray numbers. With the waves, these are complex numbers. They have E inside. Or the other thing is recognize what's in the image, a castle, a temple, a quarter, or whatever. So I can then I translate all the images I have in the same way. Huh? And then I can start playing with them. Then I can create from, this is where the beauty comes. Then we can go from this noisy thing towards a planet that in itself has different atmospheres. Yeah? So now we are with the same image. So here where we started, huh? Here we are with the planet of a fashion brand. This is a planet of a fashion brand. Like this, and now we are in a planet of Arc Daily. This is, or the zine. These are 10 years of the zine. Whatever happened in the zine. This is it. And you see again how, as well in the same game, like with the examples that Jorge was showing, you always have a gradient between things. Things are changing smoothly from white towards the dark, from blue towards the red, from here towards there. And this, I always like to this is for me the understanding of what is fake news, or how the news work today, what is fake and what is not fake with them. So if we, for instance, take any object from here, let's say this small table, yeah? And now we want to relate it with this bicycle here. Yeah? So from the table to the bicycle. there is a kind of transformation that goes like this. This is the shortest path. So if we want to go from here to there, there is a logical way how we go, like this. But then we can go like this as well, or we can go like this, or we can go like this. So there are infinite ways how we can connect any 2 points here. All the relationships are there in this understanding of this planet. And then some people take one of those relationships and they say this is the true one. And other people say, take the other one and they say this is the true one. And the third people take another one and they say this is the true one. And then the guys who have the best propaganda, they win, and their one becomes the most established. And all the other ones are discarded as fake news. I mean, this could be one, for me, I like this picture. For me, it's very kind of, because it doesn't say which news is correct and not. It depends how you want to have them. Yeah? So when we are in this, on this planet of the Zen, if we take any object and we say, okay, wow, I like this object, I like its neighborhood, let me open up this box. Let me see what's inside of this truck, for instance, yeah? Metaphorically. So let me take this cell and I want to unfold it a little bit more and see what's inside. What's inside of this atmosphere? So this then we can start thinking of these specific things as kind of spices and ingredients in, let's say, in a menu. So this is, once we take, this is cell 29, or this is cell, this thing here is the number of the cell, and these are elements inside. And here you can see what these elements are about. And what's funny is that they're grouped only by those numbers that we saw before. And they're grouped only by the number of color and the number of structure. Yet some of them are very clear what they are, so they're drawings. Some of them, like this one, are purely atmospheric. So the way how they organize themselves in this, the algorithm is called the self-organized map. So these are organized by verticality. These are organized more by color and texture. These are organized by I don't know what. But there is always a consistency, and you could almost take one of them and say, okay, this is what I'm going to use for my brand. This is going to be one important ingredient of my brand. Wow, but maybe I'll take this one as well, and this one. So I will make my brand out of these 3. Yeah, and then I can say, okay, this is the brand of Alice on a specific moment. Yeah, so how can I use these elements to compose an informational face for Alice? As we said, very simply, I just take a few of those things and I take them, group them together, again, do machine learning on them, unfold them, and this is a face. So this is a filter for looking at all the other images. So it's almost like a lens. And this is a profile of Alice where she likes objects which are full of texture, which are full of green, which are full of content. Yeah, she doesn't want like a glass on the white background. No, it has to be full always. Maybe she wants some of the drawings. But this is just Sunday morning. Now on Sunday evening, she changes her mood and then she has a different setting. Now she wants only the lonely objects in white. A lot of drawings and singular objects. Maybe a few buildings and something else. Yeah? But you get how these 2 profiles of what you like are very different. And there is a consistency in this profile if you juxtapose it to this one. Yeah? They become very distinct. This is how Alice behaves during the night. Let's say here, and this is how she behaves during the day. And I can make as many faces as I like and play with them. So now what's I think fantastic here. Now look at this. I will tell you exactly the same story, step by step, how I did this one. Just instead of images, we work with text. Exactly the same. So we completely change the medium and the game stays the same. which means that in principle, all information technologies have the same game. So let's start from the beginning. As an avatar in the flow, one should behave like a search engine, indexing, scanning, filtering, and taking snapshots of phenomena one finds interesting. You remember here the poem, big poem. Look at this poem now. Just this. If you don't, I don't know if you know this gallery, this library. It's Gutenberg press. It's coming from the press of Gutenberg. And here you have around 60,000 free ebooks. To download without copyrights. You can take them all if you like. I took them all. Look at this. So I say, and what's very funny is that they named these books from 1 to 60,000. Yeah? So it's the book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, and they literally talk them, their names. So I put here number 1, I get the first book. I put number 2, I get the second book. So let's take books from 5 to 20. See, now they're coming. It's the ebook 17, ebook 18, 19, 20, bam. They are all here. We have them. These are the books. And the book 11 is Alice in Wonderland. What's great with these books is that they are ebooks, which means that the text is already digital. Yeah? So I don't need to recognize anything. I just take EPUB. I can translate it very simply to text files, and then I can work with words. Yeah, so it's 60,000 books like this. Another library which you should remember always is the second best library in the world, is this one. So it's a Russian pirate library. I don't know if you know this library, Genesis. It's more than 2 million books. Whatever you want to find is here. We should take note of this, but in case you don't, we put it on our website so you have it. Huh? So whatever you want is here. So the story goes as if we remember, first we take all the books, what happens then? A mess. Yeah? So once we take all the books, these are, so I downloaded for the PhD when I was working on this, I downloaded 13,000 books, and look at the titles. Huh? The financialization of housing, voodoo histories, Welsh Gothic, imagining urban futures, walk through walls, civil wars, animals and women, Dirk Gently Holistic Detective Agency, Long Dark Tea, The Hoarder in You, The Zen Records of Haiku, The Most Sublime Hysteric Hegel, After the Media, Soviet Heroic Poetry. So there is no consistency whatsoever. These are all random books which I've never seen. I don't have a clue what they're about. But what I have is the best library, and that's Xenoteca. Library Genesis is the second best, is the best. Yeah? So this is your library as well. But this was the first version of this library. So it's called Xenoteca. You know the Biblioteca. Yeah? So Biblioteca is the library, and then Xenoteca is a library where all books are welcome. So it's a kind of strange library where all books are welcome, but they have to talk about things they care. So Xenoteca is a kind of an internal library, a context, a neighborhood, a galaxy. It's a teke, as its name suggests, where all the strangers are entitled to hospitality, but they need to talk about the things they care. What's interesting here is now with this library, we are on the level of the filter. What we had with images, that this is the only discrepancy in the narrative, filter of images. Here I know the books. I don't know, I didn't read all of them, but I know what they're about. So they are the lens through which I will look at this noise here. How do I work with this? What we did, so how do we construct this lens? this is, yeah, okay, this is not the best progress of the story, but how do we construct this lens out of these books? So how do we want to look at books? So we were looking at images as pixels and characteristics of pixels. Now the words and the text, we want to look at the text as a connectivity of its own elements, so as a connectivity of words. And in the middle of doing this, we want to kind of, if you have like play, plays, played, playing, we will move this all towards the stem of the word, which is play. It's going to be the same word. It's a kind of simplification, but it's a good one. Or let's say it works okay. So then we say preface is a good word, one, and so I will remove. I will take long. Preface is connected to long. Long is connected to divinely. Divinely is connected to inspire, not inspired. Inspire is connected to intelligence. Intelligence is connected to godly. Godly is connected to presence, and so on. Yeah. By this, we have a book as a connectivity of its own words. And these aliens here, they become books. So these are books seen as a connectivity of their own words. Now what we want to do is to connect all the books. Yeah, so, and this is the key of the whole machine learning stuff. Yeah, so this is the whole key. So then what we are doing is actually relating all the books to all the words towards the library, and what we create is a dictionary of the library. And the dictionary of the library says say is the most frequent word, and the word say repeats in the frequency of the word say in the first book is 120 times, in the second book 350 times, in the third book 100 times, and then in the fourth 108, and so on. What is interesting here is that you see how the word say, the frequency of word say in all the books. So this, if we look like this, we see the word say in all the books. If you look at like this is how the word say in the first book, then the word man in the first book. So if we look only the first numbers like this, we get the first book. If we look at it like this, we get all the books of the first word. So it's a kind of a transposition of the matrix. You get in one, if you look like this, you get the book. If you look like this, you get the library. So you have both at the same time, the book and the library. All of this is important because the way how we look and what we look determines the face of an object. So if we are counting words, it's different than if we are counting letters. If we are counting 2 words, it's different than if we are counting 3 words. Instead of this, we can use Google rating, we can say, or Amazon rating for the books. So that's one thing. This is how we look. And the other thing is what we look, which means which books do we put in a library. And this is what both of us are in a way trying to emphasize, is that what's happening when you have a search engine like Google, this search engine tries to cover the whole planet. So it wants to cover everything. And by covering everything, it's fantastic, but it gives us a single understanding of the world. Of course, it's more complicated because you have many different things you can choose from, but it's giving you a certain understanding of the world. What we are doing is creating specific libraries. So this library gives, let's say, a biological understanding of the world. This library gives a poetic understanding of the world. This library gives a mechanic understanding of the world, yeah? Because the books and the data sets which we have are of different kinds. Now, once we have this organized in this complicated way, but this is how machine learning works, there is not much more. The rest is optimization and correlation of as many objects, which we don't have the technology, but the concept is the same. So if I have my library and it's organized into 12 shelves, so here we go from, for instance, Gulliver and Cervantes, Don Quixote, towards mathematics and cybernetics, and it's a kind of a gradient, it's a kind of a spectrum of things. And I say, okay, I think this is one consistency, this is second consistency, and this is the third. So I will make out of them, let's say, 3 personas. And this is what I care about. I care about architecture. Here is the architecture, theory, and computation in a way. Yeah? So this is what I want. And now I have all these 13,000 books that I've never seen, and I'm going to take it one by one, and I'm going to throw it on top of this and see which books go where. Just by then having these vectors of numbers and correlating and looking the distances in between them, I get that in character 3, I get 81 books. And these 81 books I've never seen or read, but I know that in this context, they are the most similar to those books which are here. So I just take them and then again start counting. So I look at all the titles and I say, okay, this is Alice. This will be the body of Alice. And I just look at all the titles and I immediately see that the most frequent word in the titles is digital. Then I count all the words in all the books and I get the dictionary of most favorite words from Alice. Then I say, okay, organize these books into 4 different compartments so that I get 4 moods of what she likes. These are the titles and these are the most frequent words. So she likes design, designers, landscapes, and work. She likes film, image, fashion, and cinema. She likes the digital technology, space, and so on. She likes contemplation. So this is who she is, in a way. This would be her body. But now let's zoom a little bit in and look at what would be her face or what would be her brain. So once Alice has all these books, this would be a face of one book. Yeah, so this means she has the whole dictionary. She organized the dictionary in a way how she organized the pictures before. So this is a kind of a galaxy of concepts of one library. This is the world of one library. And these are different ways how each book lights up this world of concepts. So in this world, these are important concepts. In this world, this is an important concept. So for instance, if we have 2 books like Smith, The Wealth of Nations and Marx Capital, these would be the concepts that are most important for those 2 books. And these concepts are on the same place in the galaxy. You can see they're more or less on the same place. And then one could argue that these 2 books are in love. Yeah? And then, for instance, if we have Schumacher and Leibniz, Schumacher is interested in this corner of the galaxy, while Leibniz is interested in this corner of the galaxy, and these 2 corners are the most distant corners in our galaxy. So then we can say that these guys don't love each other. Yeah? So they are kind of in a hate relationship. Or for instance, these 2 guys, one is in one part of the galaxy, but it's kind of flickering, and the other one is flickering from the other part. So this could be a kind of a flirting. But when we remove the color from this space, what we are left is this galaxy of concepts. And this is what exactly the same what Jorge was showing with the subtitles of movies. So again, the same, we always have the same story, just from a different kind of mood. In this galaxy, what I cared at that moment the most when I was doing this was the idea of information, for instance, and the idea of data. So you can see here is data and here is information. So if you look at it from the distance, one is here and the other one is here. So they're kind of quite close in the context of the whole universe or the whole galaxy of concepts, but still they are quite distinct. So how are they distinct? So how they are distinct, this is not clear, but we can speculate. Where is it? So this is not the definition of what information is about. This is what information is in this specific galaxy, in this specific library. Yeah? It's fluctuation. So to get what it is about, we need to look around. So if we look around, it's about radiation, harmonic, entropy, cybernetics, Maxwell-Wiener spectrum, collision, electron, experiment, transmit, channel, tube. So then you need to invent a story. What is it about? It's about information in an electric setting. Here, it's information, it's data, which is a kind of a brother of information or a sister in a context which goes towards applications. So it's towards the laser, towards Xerox, towards scan, keyboard, desktop, processor, computer, airline, laptop, analog. So it's a very different flavor of what this thing might be about. And what's fantastic with this machine learning is that you get these soft distinctions just by counting things. And if you have enough things to count, these things will move to different clusters of different flavors. Huh? You don't have to predefine things, but you can work with them and modify. So the level of design is really the library and how you count things. And then you get differences. From these differences, you can look at things that you like, then combine them together and work with them. Once we have this kind of galaxy, which knows what it's talking about, we can start talking to it. And this is Ask Alice. So all of these things that we've seen, for instance, on the level of the text, you will be working with Ask Alice, and what we've seen before with the level of images, you will work with Panoramas of Cinema. Huh? Inside of Alice, you have different libraries, different brains, and you can work with them. Huh? So for instance, the most powerful one is Xenoteca. It's related to a library that we will give you as a gift. So here you have more than 1,300 books, which are one click away. So you just click and you have them. Yeah? So if you want to go and read Tanizaki in Praise of Shadows, you click, you have it, go PDF. You need a username and password. This we will give you as well. And then you are just in. If internet is fast. If internet is slow, then you have to wait, but this should be a small book. Okay, we continue. So for instance, if you are very fascinated with this talk now, you can read about it in a book. Thank you. So you can read about it in a book, and you also have different styles of writing in it. Yeah, so you have from poems to dialogues to kind of combined texts. Why is it so slow? Yeah. So you have it here, the whole story. With Alice, you should always ask her. You have to tell her what you want to talk about. Huh? So we are with the Xenoteca library, which means with this library, then we tell her, okay, what we want to talk about is parasite, and I don't know what parasite is, for instance. Then you can go either explore or find mode. So you then ask find. So give me all the sentences in your library which are about the parasite. And of course, who comes out first is our hero Ser with the book, which is called Parasite. And now if you click here, load more, if you click load more, you get the parasite is everywhere. The parasite is fundamental. So you get all these different sentences in which he is saying what the parasite is. So you can kind of get familiar and read all of it. So you are reading very fast on parasites. And then if you look through, you will not read a book, you will read through a library and you will get an understanding what the parasite might be. And then, for instance, if you click context, you get the sentences around it. If you like it, you can click copy, and then you can paste it wherever you want. Yeah? Bam. So you can start working with this thing and talking to the library. But what did I do wrong? Here, there is one more trick, which is essential. Exactly. And then if you like it, if you like what's going on, then you just click here. So if this is working for you, click here on Xenoteca, bam, and you're getting the book directly. Yeah? And then you can start reading the book in detail about these things. So if you find certain quotes which are repeating, you can click on Xenoteca and go directly there. So here is a beautiful repository of knowledge that you can work with, and you can search it with this search engine. So you get the kind of, you have the library, you have a search engine, and just start playing. And now you know basically what is the mechanics of this and how does it work from the background, what is the logic, does this trigger you or not, I don't know. But there is, you get a kind of feeling what these things might be about. And the last step where things I think get interesting is to how to merge these things together. Yeah? So how to bring text and image into relationship. And this is what we want to do with our exercises. Yeah? So this is one way. So what's fascinating here, and I think this is a kind of a driver of the whole exercise, is that you have images. So more than 500,000 images, or in Jorge's case, more than 5 million images that you've never seen. And in his case, there are even moving images, which is much more beautiful than these are static here. On one side, and on the other side, you have more than 1,300 books that you've never read, and you can start working with them. So here in this case, it's a distillation of 500,000 images and 13,000 books. I've never seen the images, I've never read the books. Yet all these images and all these books are related to me through these searches that I have. And if I find a way, how can I bring them together and give them certain phase, they can unfold and start to tell stories which are mine and not mine, which are related to me but independent. And this is what we did at the beginning of the story with Twitter. So we take an image. We say, okay, now I want to see, and whose image is this? This is an image of the guy who we had in the first part, this Damien Hirst with the points, yeah, who is doing the dots on the paper. This is his artwork, which is called Shipwreck of the Unbelievable, something like this, where he created the whole mythology in parallel to Venice Biennale, Art Biennale, and he was playing with them. Yeah? So now Alice is taking from this brain, she took this image and she's asking this brain what's on this image. Once she gets what's on this image, not exactly by this, but she's trying to guess what's on the image here. And she said, it's scuba, it's a ventilator, it's a device, it's an instrument, it's an artifact. Now take this, use this as a question and ask Alice to explore these things. Yeah? So which sentences could work? And Alice says there are these 24 sentences that answer this question. And then I tell her, okay, take one randomly, which you want. And once you take it, can you please post this on Twitter? And this is what she's doing on Twitter, yeah, independently. So she takes an image she looks what's here. It's awning, it's Japanese, it's pagoda, tree, picket fence, awning, flowering. And then give a comment. The rear facade focuses on a cavernous sliding glass door, while the front becomes an essay in coziness with grabbles, shutters, blah, blah, blah. It kind of didn't work that well on this one, yeah? Subsequent discoveries from late periods show heavy on the bottom ends of the some are working better, some are working less. Yeah, cupboards, shelves, compartments can be built up in all heights and widths according to opportunity and inclination. So this one kind of works, yeah? Or this one that I picked here works as well. Erect the corner columns and place the stiffening columns as nearly as possible at equal spacing epsilon with the frame every 1 hour or 40 minutes. Something I was checking on Twitter, what's the best amount of tweets per day? And they say around 20. Because I can put 1 million, yeah, no problem. She's like, or I can say put 1 per day. So what I think the last thing, just what I want to say is that with defining a brand, so what defining with might be about, what gets nice if you create a lot of objects around, yeah? So I have this character of Alice, which I like her to be my avatar, yeah? And then I create a Twitter account for her, yeah? Where she talks alone. It's her talking. Then I create an Ask Alice search engine where you can talk to her directly. Then I create Xenoteca, which is a library which she's attached to, yeah? Then I wrote the book. This book, and what's here important is that she is a co-author of this book. Huh? So she is there. It's not written by her directly, because then she would be an alter ego, and I don't want this, so then she would be directly me. But if she is a co-author of it, that means that she is an independent persona in a way. Huh? Then we did a table together. Huh? So you saw how a chair looks like. So we did as well a small table together. The table you will see next time. We brought it today, but it's still not here. If only internet would allow us. We had a chair, we had a table. We did an exhibition together. We have a pavilion with the sun, yeah? And she has 2 sons, this Homo effluviens and the soul guy. So to kind of build up these characters, you need all these different elements that give it a kind of an atmosphere, yeah? This really doesn't want to work. This one's okay. Let's leave it at this, huh? Because it's too much. We know it's too much, but just a little bit more. Do you want to ask any questions or give comments?
I thought I'm starting to get a picture, but now
good. Now we will crystallize it. So we have, let's say, 45 minutes to 1 hour more of talking, where we will just go through the assignment and tell you how to work with these 2 instruments. Do you want to break in between, or you just want to go for it directly? Go for it. So we just go. Okay. Assignment. I start, huh? Now we go with the pragmatics, how we want to work this semester, yeah? Let's kill all these different websites. So this is our blog. Each of these things here will be a link to your blog. So here we will have all your blogs, and we will work via blogs and social media because we think it's adequate for this kind of tasks. Parasite, Anthony Bourdain, 300 square meters, 1 block, Hong Kong. It's a fully connected world. We are all here. It's noisy, crowded, full of hosts and guests, subjects and objects. All Parasite. We talk, we hear, we think, we remember everything. What to say, who to listen to, how to reason. I want to forget. The figure of the Parasite will help us to take a stance and have a face. Architecture is our stage. The Parasite is the essence of relation. One Parasite hosts the other. Anthony Bourdain gets a carte blanche to invent a 300 square meter project in one of Mong Kok blocks in Hong Kong. In return, he has to host the block owner whenever he appears. This is the task. This is Anthony Bourdain. He's a famous chef. Maybe you can later show a few videos just to get the feeling of who he is. And this is the Hong Kong block here. So to get to the Hong Kong block, just click here and you are in Hong Kong in the block. This is our block. This thing here. So wherever you want, you have an intervention of 300 square meters to do whatever you want or whatever Anthony wants. We have to figure out what Anthony wants. We have to develop a brand of Anthony in the first part of the semester on the level of a video trailer. In the second part of the semester, we need to unfold it into a story. And in the next semester, we need to build a house around this story. So the first semester is in principle to figure out what to do, with which topics to work, how to address those topics, how to create a mood. The first thing is to create this trailer. Yeah? And the trailer has two parts, two important parts. One is the mixture of videos. Yeah? And then in parallel are the stories which complement those videos. The mixture of videos you will make with the panoramas of cinema, and the stories you will make with Ask Alice. So two search engines, play with them, and then you will use certain video editing tools and combine them. If you want, you can edit your sentences, you can edit your personal footage to these things, and then later we will or you can already start fantasizing what could this be. Is it a parasite which is parasitic to the house? Is it one floor of the house? Is it this? Is it that? Whatever. Yeah? So it's Hong Kong. There things can happen in very many different ways. So here we are very open.
It has to be an idea from engineering. So we
No, you.
brand of engineering.
He's the client.
Okay. He's the client.
So he's a famous chef.
Yeah.
He's a famous chef, famous cook. Yeah? He made a lot of documentaries and so on.
Yeah.
And then at one point, there is a guy in Hong Kong who is quite rich and who owns this block.
Yeah.
And he followed all the shows from Anthony Bourdain. Yeah? So he followed everything. He knows him. He read all the books from Anthony. He said, man, I love you so much. I like your work. Come to Hong Kong. I own this block. Find an architect. And you have 300 square meters. Do whatever you want. You can make a bookstore. You can make a library. You can make a bar. You can make a shopping mall. You do whatever you want. You have 300 square meters. You have all the money you want. Do it. The only thing you need to do for me is whenever I appear, you have to host me in whichever way you want. So it's all open. You just do, I think you are so cool, do whatever you want. But when I come, host me, and the rest of the time you can have a restaurant or a bookstore, or whatever, however you want. It can be only your apartment.
So any information about the guy that wants to be hosted?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
This you don't know. He doesn't want to show his face.
Okay. We can have some fictional figure out.
Of course.
You need to characterize Anthony as well. because then we have a lot of footage of him. We have books that Anthony has a face. You know, you Google him, there are interviews. You can get what's his interest and so on. But nevertheless, you need to turn it towards your own interest. So you need to say, okay, I think he may like this, and then you go with your own intuition. With your own aspiration, you say, yes, I need to talk to Anthony. I think he likes this, but then restaurant, not. I think he doesn't have a restaurant anymore. I think he wants a ping pong club table, whatever. And then so in this case, you need to construct. Anthony. You need to put together enough indexes or enough events for your pitch to make sense. So it's not about getting an essence of thing. Just say, I heard from here there is like this. I heard him saying this, and I think he should like this. So there's a lot of construction of the character. You can construct also the client, but the task is already constructing the idea of who Anthony may be and what he may be.
It can be pretty absurd as well.
We need to buy it. Okay.
It can be fantastic, yeah, and so on, yeah, but there needs to be a consistency in it. So all these talks that we had today are about building consistencies, because we don't believe in this consequential arguing, yeah, in a sense that this will make it. So in all these things, you need to give us a flavor of a brand.
So we try to create a brand of Anthony, and the brand has some things where you can almost think that that's the brand, right?
Something like this, you know, how they're all been building their brands. So you have Hong Kong, huh? Hong Kong is a rich thing in itself. Then you have this Anthony Bourdain, who is rich guy in itself, yeah. So there are a lot of stuff around him. Then you have all the movies from Jorge, which is like insane amount of stuff. Then you have all the books from Alice, which is again an insane amount of stuff. And then you have all your fantasies. So then what we want is to bring in proportion your fantasies with Anthony's fantasies, with the fantasies of Hong Kong, with the fantasies of panoramas of cinema, with the fantasies of Alice. And this is architectural. This is what we think architecture is about. Bringing these domains together, which are, so being able to link things which are not likely to be linked in these ways. Something like that. Yeah? But don't worry too much about it. We will work on it, and we will get the feeling of what's going to happen. We want it to be a little bit like this.
And remember, we discussed in the morning that the last day, the day of the final presentation, which is in
1 year.
9 months.
Yeah.
Right? So then the day before, you will still probably need to tune the text. You probably need to tune the images. You probably will still need to tune things. So all these things are just 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. So we can start building an scaffold things. Then they always will stay alive. So we always go back to when we are in the third step, we can come back to the first step, because in the first step we may find certain answers to the question of the first step. You know, so all these things will always stay alive, and it's just the day of the presentation is going to be like snapshot, like a photo. So it's not, don't worry that it needs to be finished. It just needs to start to be a fire.
So what we want is a trailer for the project. To be able to make a trailer, you somehow need to know a little bit, discover a little bit about Anthony, discover a little bit about this neighborhood in Hong Kong, discover a little bit about how to play panoramas, discover a little bit how to talk to Alice, and then find topics and concepts which are addressing the world, and think of them through the lens of a parasite. Yeah? And we will work in the theory courses on reading the parasite and getting into these kind of discussions. Yeah? Start from the plenty, put it all on the table. So what we need is topics, characters, location, rooms, and dramas. On one hand, we need a short kind of an essay which goes on top of your video, How do you relate it to video? This depends on you and how you want to have it. Then we need to make the video and put them together. One more time, make a video for Anthony Bourdain's new brand in Hong Kong. 5-minute long video with around 500 words. Video is basically made out of quotes of videos, and the 500 words are basically quotes from Alice. It's important that you bring other people's thoughts, not only yours. Now let's go like this. So and we will get to these tutorials again and again. Yeah, but I will go just through everything first, and then we
I have a question there. I mean, our creativity are the topics we think are important to the site in Hong Kong, to Anthony Bourdain. But I think if we have too many topics, it's going to be so much information we have to work with. So is there like a certain amount of topics we should focus on? Is like 5 topics or 5 point of views we should figure out for ourselves? Or it doesn't matter how many.
It doesn't matter. It's open. If you want 1, work with 1. If you want 7, work with 7.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It's just important that we discuss them. And whatever you want, then you just unfold it. We want to see this topic from 7 different points of view. Something like this. Okay, let's go directly with the assignment. So basically what we want to do for the first few weeks, we have 2 things which you have to deliver. Yeah? One is the video essay, and then the second thing is the blog, the Tumblr blog. Yeah? With the video essay, it's 5 minutes, 500 words. These are all the things that we already said. Yeah. So conceptual, the face of the brand, develop the moods of the brand. What does it want to say to the world? Which concepts does it want to work with? Yeah.
And the essay is the voice from the
video. Yeah. We just didn't know how to call it. This is a little bit clumsy. It's not 2 different things. It's one thing. Yeah? Just we are doing with 2 different machines.
Yeah. And the whole essay has to be in the video.
The whole essay is actually what you are talking over the video.
Yeah. It's like a script.
It's like a script. Yeah.
Screenplay.
Yeah.
Then with the blog, so blog, we use blog just to develop these things, just to kickstart the stuff. So on the blog, and here is a tutorial for the blog. So you click here. So everything is on this website. Yeah, you click here.
We don't have all our course. Everything goes via the website.
We don't have. We put everything here. So go here, Tumblr, set it up how it's written here. Yeah. So you have all the steps, how you set it up, and then you need to post stuff on top. So this is very basic how you do it. Here, we have to do this before you leave. You have to give me your emails, then we will write them here, and I will write you an invitation to join this file. Here you have the username and the password for Xenoteca library, so that you can enter inside, and this is the username and password for our Instagram. So we would like you to post on the Instagram of the studio when we start working a little bit. Yeah, you will give us your emails. We will send you then a way how to access this file, and then here, once you set up the blog, you need to put your URLs here. Yeah, so URLs of your blog, you put them here. So the next time we meet, we will have this page where these are going to be your pictures and names of your blog. So once you click here, it will take us to your blog. Huh? So basically, it will look exactly the same how we have it on Meteora, which is this. This is how these things work. Yeah. So this is your project. It's called. Let's take. Okay, killing it can go. Yeah, you click here, and then bam, you are on a Tumblr website, and you can look into Meteora for references. So this course is similar. It's a kind of a brother sister course, a spin-off from Meteora, but we want to push it with the 3D models to the next level. Yeah? And we will put the link of Meteora also there. Is it? We didn't put it, maybe, I don't know. But you can always refer to Meteora for, this is how your blogs will look like. Yeah? So you have text, images, videos, and work with these things. So then, for next time when we meet, we immediately want the whole video. Yeah? So the first version of the video. We want the essay, we want the video, we want the blog. Because we work in a way, we tell you in the beginning everything, and then every time you show us, all of you, one by one, what you did, and we discuss it in detail, and then we work in iterations. So the first time is always the most difficult because you have to come up with things, and then we work just in 3 iterations. But you have 2 weeks until then, so this is also, you have a lot of time. So then, on the blog, we want to have the video, we want to have the storyboard, and we want to have the title. These are 3 different posts. Do them in this way. Yeah? So this is an example of the poem, just that this is this stuff that I wrote. So it's made out of quotes. You have the quotes. They are telling a story. Here are the citations. You have to write a small poem or a small scenario for it. Yeah? For the videos, we have more examples. Yeah, we didn't put all the examples here. Then concepts you want to work with. Yeah? These are the different concepts. You just put the concept, give a certain reflection on it, then relate the thing. How do you relate towards the site? How do you relate towards the city? How do you relate towards the world? So this just kind of give us glimpses of what you think is important about Hong Kong. How do you think this might work there? How do you think this is related, for instance, to the idea you will have towards the world, towards the communication, and towards the parasite? And that's it. So these things, just start with these kind of concepts, find topics you want to work with, see how they relate to different scales of things. So city, world, and the site, and the block, and then start writing about it and start playing. Just don't be afraid of these things. Just relax and do stuff. Play, experiment, work around. And these are the 2 things we want to have for the next time and for the last time of this exercise. Huh? So here we have the tutorial for the movie and the voice and the video. Yeah. So for the voice, this is what we don't have time to go through it. But what's important here are 3 small tutorials that I did on how to write with Alice. So this would be very important that you go through it. Watch all 3 of them, and you will get an idea how to work with her. And then the other one is.
So one, yeah. So these are tutorials on the video editor. I don't know if you have experience video editing something. I really work with Premiere, DaVinci, or so on. So if you already know a video editor, then you stick with it. If you know no video editor, I would suggest you to work with DaVinci Resolve. Here I collected the small tutorials on the most basic things, which are in principle the basis of everything. How to resize and crop, how to make a transition, how to add effects, how to edit. So, because again, we will see now, but it will be a matter of dragging, cutting, transition, next, dragging, transition, next. That's it. So these are the video editor. We have another. Can you go to Panorama? I will update the link as well.
We will put the link. Yeah.
Can you go to Panorama? Search engine. There's this link tutorials. underneath how to use the search engine. So maybe we have time, we do it faster right now.
Yeah, I think it's important.
But anyhow, this is a bit more detail on the
So this, we will put the third tutorial here as well, a link. We will have tutorials, voice, video, and video. Yeah. So then you have for the blog tutorials you have, and you have a list of blogs. This we have to, before you go, we have to put your emails in. Then we have examples of these. We said the poems, and we have examples of videos. To enter to these examples, to enter all of this, you need this Xenoteca username and password. Yeah. Then you have the link to Xenoteca. This is the library. Then you have the link to Ask Alice. Then you have a link to Ngrams to see how the words are moving. Yeah? For instance, if you have the word Pope and alien, we just more and more stuff. It's fantastic. Huh? We are crazy. But after today, there is no more. Huh? So that's the thing. Huh? You see how, for instance, in 1900s, Pope started to be less popular than the alien. Yeah? So the question is why? So if you can find two words that are crossing each other, this means there is a potential good story.
A story to be told.
A story to be told.
So there's a plan. So they are all like this. What their friends and then this, then they're going to happen.
And then
something happened in 19th or 20th century that the alien just went up.
and the Pope went down.
The Pope was the king or whatever.
And this is done by counting the frequency of all the words by Google that were ever done in all the literature they scanned. Yeah? So this is funny that what's so beautiful for us with these games is that you work with the whole world all the time. Yeah? And usually nobody teaches this kind of stuff. This is, I think, where we are extremely special and where this setting is unique. You are really working with the whole world. Yeah? It's like Alien and the Pope, and then you're like looking at all the books ever written and the frequency of all the words ever, like crazy stuff. Yeah? It's just crazy. And then another way of looking at the words, but this is all in these tutorials I explained there. The best thing ever is this Etimo online. So if you want to look how the words behave through time in an evolutionary manner, how words evolve historically, let's say, something like this. This is the shit. You go here, whatever you write, what is the good word? Lot. We are working with a lot. Yeah? So then you look at the etymology of the word lot. Anything from dice to straw, but often a chip of wood with the name inscribed on it. Okay, I need to translate this in contemporary terms. I say encoding. Then the second one is share of land. Yeah? So it's a plot, a lot, a place. Yeah? Then you have a lot, a lottery. This is the game of probabilities. Then you have group collections, the great many. This is what we call the plenty or the abundance. So the etymology of this word is just crazy. Yeah? And then you can develop many stories around how this word works. And then you can use all these words as questions to ask Alice. Then we have thesaurus. That's another way how words move. So Alice is all about moving of words and how the concepts and books are alive, how they talk. This is about how what are the synonyms and antonyms. Yeah. So the words of similar meaning. This is how words move horizontally. The other one is how words move vertically. Then we have the library Genesis, the second best library in the world. Then we have panoramas of cinema, the best panoramas of cinema in the world, video library in the world. Then you will talk a little bit. Huh? With this, then we have the book, which is a very tricky book. So we will also try to learn how to read extremely complicated books. But we will start with a very simple one with this guy. Just make it. And then you have an introduction to Anthony. So here is all about Anthony, Anthony's books and Anthony's TV shows. Yeah.
Like 20 gigabytes. I think it's an overkill, but maybe you still like it. So there are like 20 seasons of him doing stuff all around the world. Just Google him. I mean, you need to go to Wikipedia, Google him, so you can start talking to him. Just sit and then start trying to find with him, or check what pulls you from him, what makes him interesting. We find him very interesting, but we find him always very interesting as well. Actually, you have to.
You don't have to fall in love with him, just find him somehow interesting. This is the location of the site. Here, this is today. Here we will put parentheses and we will put recordings inside. So you will have the recordings of all the talks of today there. So if you want to refresh your memory, you can do it there. If you miss something by any chance, you can look at it there. Next Thursday, work. So for next Thursday, check the tutorials that we are going to on Alice and on panoramas on cinema, and Jorge will now go with the panoramas a little bit more. Check these things, prepare the questions for next Thursday where we have the theory class. So you can ask Jorge and me about these things, but we will not discuss the projects in detail. We will be discussing Tambellina. So you should read this book. It's a very short book, beautiful, simple book from this guy that talks about all these problems that we discussed. Yeah? So just click there, PDF, bam, you have it. Yeah? Bam, let's do it.
Check the index, read the first sentences of, read the first paragraph of each chapter, then read the first sentence of each paragraph, and then by that you scan it.
And I mean, altogether it has 100 pages, but look how big is the page. Yeah? The page is like half a page. So it's really 50-page book, simple, super beautiful book. You will fall in love with it immediately. And we will have a guest talk by Adil Bokhari, who will show us a little bit glimpses of what we might expect with 3D models and with architecture in the next semester. Yeah? So he will give a kind of a current understanding of what we think, but we want to push this understanding by next semester to a different level. And then on the 24th, what we expect from all of you is really to have a blog which is set up and to have the first version of the video with the text, with an overlay, to have the text separated as well. And then we discuss the whole thing and we go in detail for 8 hours. We discuss only your work. So each one gets 1 hour full discussion. But what is extremely important is that you guys are all here so that we create a group understanding of what we are doing, because these things look too complicated at first glance and you will be afraid, and it's going to be strange if we don't create a common understanding of what's going on. That's why it's really important that on these Thursdays we all sit together and talk, and then by this we will all get relaxed. Yeah? So you don't have to worry. It's all going to be fine. Yeah. And I think that's it. Now maybe you show a little bit just.
Very nice. It's in the video. In these YouTube videos.
You want to take this?
But then I show this, and then I show a couple of examples. As we said before, this is the first time that we are pushing this idea, so we have no specific examples as how we should look from the perspective of an architect,
or from the perspective. And then I'll show you a couple of examples from Meteora that more or less touch on more or less are more or less close to what we are trying to experiment with you. And then we watch 5 minutes of John Wilson, and then that's it. Panoramas of cinema.ch, search engine, 3 links. the scalarity of things, video text search to the whole 1300 movies, character search to a small collection of movies that are consistent or telling similar stories within themselves, or to a specific movie. So in principle, each notebook operates in the same way, but you're just asking to a different scales. Huh? So if we start video search, you click there, and then a Jupyter notebook will be loaded. We need to be a little bit patient with this instrument, and once this thing is here, you'll get this, and then you go to restart and run all cells, and then you just get a fairly clean interface. Image search. These are the tags. These are the labels that I showed you before: Badlands, campsite, castle, conference room, wet bar, bus, cake, car, umbrella, vase. You just copy paste. You say, yeah, I'm interested in rivers. Wow, only one image. That's very poor. I'm interested in kitchens. Search more than 200 images. I know that the maximum amount of search results is 200. So this means that you can play here with the confidence levels. As Miro showed with Alice, it's about exploring and finding. So if it's closer to 1, the probabilities of finding a chair of the image to be showing a kitchen are very high. If you put it closer to 0, the images will be more or less will share certain qualities of a kitchen, but they will not be kitchen. So searching and exploring. So if you want to search for a kitchen, to be very precise, you put it closer to 1. Here is a kitchen from the matrix. Or with the objects, you say train, search, trains. You can combine them, corridor and chair. There are some trains here. Corridor and chairs. 99 images, something like this. You can search for the dialogues. You scroll down, text search, drops of blood, for example. You ask to the whole videotheque, what does it have to say about drops of blood? Search. Then the 10 results are rendered here. Brian, now I seal this pact with a drop of blood. Now you're ready. Again, with the scales, you can ask to different characters. Here you see the list of movies that compose, that engender these characters: Solaris Mon Amour, Equilibrium of an Old Boy, so on. So you can ask the same question to different people, and they will ask differently. So this is about searching. You're searching for and then here as well in the tags, you can search for images using someone else's tags, using the definitions that someone else has put. Yes.
But can you also find the relating picture to the code of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I will show you. I will show you. Yes, you can do that. So this is how you search. So then, for example, alignment. So alignment, which is not here because someone else has defined what alignment is. So then you say, okay, what is this alignment? So only one person is talking of alignment. And you say show, and again you see an image. You see this is alignment for this person. Maybe it is for you, maybe it's not. So now with your question, every time you see a button here, either on an image, you click the button, you can have the image in maximal resolution definition. You just drag it there and then you have it there. Or take the video clip. And double click, download video, desktop, save it. And this is encoded already. So if you open DaVinci Resolve, you just drag it and that's it. cut it. Next. The same with the dialogues. Click on the dialogue, go up.
Έχεις να προσθέσεις τίποτε άλλο?
Όχι. Αυτά. Ξέχασε να πεις.
I mean, the subtitles are in English, but they're not speaking English. But anyhow, this may happen. But you still, if you translate or you speak the language, then you have it there. The same with this. The same with these buttons here. With the other kind of search, with any kind of search, you can do that. Here, same story. You click on an image, have it here, or have it here. These buttons as well. If you want to see the following, the next.
We've been fired, sacked, dismissed.
This one. Also with these tags. So at this point, it's not. I'm not sure that we're gonna need it, but we can start defining things in your own terms as all these other people. So you click on an image, you scroll down. Add tags here, your tags. The tag is now me, add the tag. That's it. Another one, click on an image, add the tag, and you can search it afterwards. Jorge, now search 3 images. So in case you want to, you didn't download it, or you don't know if you need it or no, you just put a tag and then it will come back. The other notebooks work in the same manner. So this is a notebook of one movie. Where's the notebook of the character? Is here. So there are different characters. Vika, the character that I use for this video with the vampires. You click here, you get all the movies that are part of this character, and then you will only be asking to this character. Meteora's friends, which are my favorite directors. Greenaway, Tarantino, Fincher, and Guadagnino, all the movies, same story. This has a bit of a difference. So if you click on show map, all these images will be displayed, categorized according to the colors and to the structures as we show you already. So you click on one of these 16 categories, you click on navigate, and then you just start looking at images that are similar within each other, between each other. And this we call it navigate, because you don't know what you're looking for. You just have certain intuition. You say a little bit black, a little bit red, a little bit green, and same story. You just click on the image, path. So if you know that you want to work with one movie specifically, this is how it works. Movie search. Here are the 1,300 movies. You just choose one. So I want this, In the Mood for Love, show map. Here are all the images from this movie. Click, navigate, put your tags, find the clips. Like this. So all this in detail and with a few stories here. Tutorials. It's okay, no? You know how to use DaVinci Resolve for Premiere? You have experience? Yeah, okay. If not, there's a link. You just you have to. It's super simple. Now I think to start wrapping this up, I will show you two videos that are from Meteora. Are not exactly what we want, because of you will find the differences, but just for you to see how others deal with this setup and with a very similar question. So if we go to I'll show the vampire's kiss. So this is properly a movie trailer. So the format that we use is a movie trailer: introduction of the characters, introduction of a problem, and showing how this problem may be solved. This video is interesting because there's a voiceover. So there's a voice that is kind of guiding you through, it's helping you to get what the project may be about. But in your case, it needs to be very present. This is very helping, aiding to get the movie trailer consistent.
Elizabeth, I always think of you. When I eat, drink, sleep, or whatever I do, my thoughts are with you. But if I cannot have you, no one will. I will hunt you down.
It's the story of the vampire. So you have this text, you have this seduction, you have these characters, you have the city of Paris, you have Notre Dame because that was our site. You get the temperament and certain lines of what the project may be about. It was a restaurant. Yeah, I mean, part of it was a restaurant. So this is one of it. Another one that may be interesting to look at is I don't know. It's is this one? This is also a movie trailer, but this has titles. So the titles in this case are telling you about the story and are guiding you. So it's not, again, the titles are not telling you. It's not that an essay should be on the titles or written, but it should be your voice mostly. But in this case, you can see how he as well played with all these clips and how he edited them and so on. But there are certain ideas and concepts that are helping you to deliver fast what the project was about. So I think it's this one. So the myth of the place is this is a restaurant, Palais Ortolan.
Zonderli batte ni batte, zonderli batte ni batte, zonderli batte ni batte. Zonderli batte ni batte, zonderli batte ni batte, zonderli batte ni batte. Si o quer sentir tudo, oh, continue to need. Zonderli batte ni batte, 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 zonderli batte ni batte.
After my first Dutchman on this report, stimulating reminder of our power over life and death.
Maybe we can finish up with John Wilson.
So you've got camouflage and jackets.
Yeah, to say we say once again. I mean, try to remember all the qualities that we put on the work of these people and how he. Let's watch this interview. This interview is super nice. I mean,
bring the Prosecco and we can drink Prosecco and watch this stuff. No?
Yes.
I will up for a glass of Prosecco. After this whole.
Can you help?
No, you just play the stuff. I bring it.
So then let's watch these interviews of John Wilson. Now he's introducing in this interview the second season of his TV show, How to with John Wilson, and he's a special character, as you will see. But then it's interesting here because he's telling you a little bit of what his project is about and how he approached his work and why and the motivations of it. He's special. But let's watch what he has to say.
Jetzt neu. Dr. Best Interdentalbürsten. Reinigen bis zu 40% mehr Zahnoberfläche als Zähneputzen allein. Erweitere jetzt deine Zahnputzroutine mit Dr. Best Interdental.
If you ever listen to a podcast, you know, it's very similar to that, but
so
only with visual.
When you talk about the footage and you have these shots that are, it's a mixture of shots that are just mundane, but somehow absorbing of things going on in New York, people walking around, objects you find on the street.
Yeah.
Where do you get all that footage?
So yeah, the show is, yeah, for those not familiar, it's all kind of first person, but and I shoot about 3/4 of the show, but I have an amazing team of second unit shooters that actually shoot the rest of it, and I can't be everywhere all at once. So they usually go out and I give them a scavenger hunt list of stuff to find on the streets of New York if I want to, you know, if I need a shot of a bunch of tangled cables or something like that.
This is Sosa. So you have all the shooters, you have all the best directors of the world shooting things for you, and you have a search engine for finding these tangled cables,
flat tires if I want to make
cables.
the audience feel sad or
flat tires
something like that.
And is that fun for them to get an assignment like that?
Yeah, but sometimes things get lost in communication. There was this really funny moment where I was I have strange requests all the time, and I was explaining one of them to one of my shooters, Nellie Clues, and she. I said, I want to have a bank of magic hour images, because I like to have images that are shot at sunset, that I can just...
They call that magic hour,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, magic hour, so that, it adds, I think, an extra kind of emotional dimension to it once you put it in, and it automatically makes people feel something sometimes. So I said, yeah, tell the second unit team that I want a bank of magic hour images. And then I start getting the footage a few nights later, and I start combing through it, and I just start seeing these gorgeous shots of Bank of America, Chase Bank, Investors Bank at sunset. And I realized in that moment that she thought that I'd said banks at magic hour. and not a bank of magic hour images. So
you really have to be
yes,
so careful.
So, but it was.
I think we have some of that.
Yeah. So yeah, this is some of the footage here. So here's the Chase. That's the Bank of America. Here's a very beautiful city bank, Banco Pilar, and this very nice investors bank right here. So yeah, but you know, I'm really glad that there was that miscommunication now, because otherwise we wouldn't have these beautiful shots of banks.
Kind of noise, huh? But yet not.
You were just comparing with us the whole day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck. Say cheers. But then we watch 5 minutes and then that's it, no?
And I will just go around so that everyone while we are watching puts their email. Because then we will give you permission to enter this file and here you put
Hey.
your blogs URLs.
New York. It's nice to live in a place with so much fun stuff to do. But in a city with so many options, making plans can be a stressful experience. First, you need to figure out what you want to do. Then you need to figure out who you want to do it with. Then you have to set a date and time in which you want to execute that plan. This might sound easy enough, but once a plan is made, you might begin to feel trapped. And you begin to see your future.
So then next time we read the Parasite, we discuss your problems, and we have a guest lecture from Adil on 3D modeling. That's next Thursday. And then the Thursday after, it's again this marathon Thursday of 8 hours. For this Thursday, then you need to have your blog ready. You need to have the idea of your text. I mean, and the whole point of making this trailer is that you get into a mood of a brand. Yeah, so what does he want to do? How does he sees Hong Kong? What are his aspirations in Hong Kong? What does he want to become? What does he want to do? And this can be from any perspective you want. This we can debate and discuss. Yeah.
But it's you, it's your aspiration, it's your interest. So concept that you are familiar with, that you like. So try to make a link between Anthony and these things. So don't start from scratch. I mean, you've been studying for years already. So I think you can identify things that are remaining in all your projects. So you can keep it's very welcome. Bring your luggage with, and then just throw it to Anthony and let's see what happens. So don't start from scratch, never from scratch. Look at your projects or projects that you find interesting. Just try to put them on the table. Make some marks and links. Yeah.
It's basically give us a hint where you want to go with these things. Yeah?